Hello everyone, I'm Z from Susan's family. Today, I'm sharing with you the free spirit vest from our Secret Garden series. The vest is made by joining various motifs together. Join the larger motifs first, then add small motifs in the empty areas. After that, complete the grid pattern to the noticeably indented areas at the cuffs. Finally, crochet the edging on the hem, the cuffs and the neckline. To make it easier to explain, we will divide all motifs as motif 1 to motif 6. For the larger motifs, crochet them in the order that marked on the pattern. However, you can also adjust the crochet sequence based on your preference. The motifs without numbers. Are the smaller motifs added later? You can connect them according to your specific situation. Except the first motif. Join as you go for the last round to the remaining motifs. First, let's learn about the first motif. We call it motif 1. It's an incomplete motif. The motif starts with double magic ring. Work around the center. Counterclockwise for initial rounds. Then work back and forth for the last few rows. Let me demonstrate the specific steps. It should be noted that the yarn for this demonstration is random. For specific yarn choice, color and hook sizes, please refer to the details page and the printed pattern of our product. First, make a double magic ring. Then chain 3 to begin. These count as one double crochet. Make 11 more double crochets in the big ring. After completing, close the magic ring. Then, in the third chain of the beginning chains, which is the chain stitch on the right of this double crochet stitch, make a slip stitch to these two strands. The solid dot indicates that the slip stitch needs to be pulled tight. This does not count as one stitch. The first round is now completed. Continue with round 2. Since this round involves crocheting post double crochets, we can secure the yarn first. Then insert the hook into the gap on the right side of the beginning chains. Come out through the gap on the left side. Draw the yarn through. Make 3 chains, which counts as one front post double crochet. Chain 1 more. And then make 1 FPDC on the double crochet on the left. The method is the same as for a double crochet, but the insertion point is different, which means on the right side. Insert the hook into the right side of this double crochet. Then come out from the left side. And crochet. The FPDC is completed. Chain 1. Next, make 1 FPDC and 1 chain respectively on each double crochet on the left side. Finish this round. Once finished, insert the hook into the third chain here and slip stitch to connect. That completes round 2. Continue with round 3. Make a slip stitch into the chain space on the left. The oval solid dot indicates a slip stitch without tightening. For bringing the yarn to the chain space position, then chain 4 directly. Then work a front post double crochet, 3 stitches large bobble. First, on the FPDC from previous round. Work 3 incomplete FPDCs. The insertion position is the same as before. Once completed, yarn over, draw the yarn through the first 3 loops. Yarn over again, draw through 2 loops at once. The FPDC 3LB is done. Chain 1. A double crochet in next chain space. Chain 1 again. Next, from this FPDC 3LB, repeat this pattern. The last FPDC 3LB is worked on the beginning chain. Once completed, chain 1 more. And join with a slip stitch. That completes round 3. Now continue to round 4. The beginning is the same as round 2. Secure the yarn first. Then, draw the yarn through like this. Next, work 7 chains. Then, work a front post double crochet, 2 stitches together. That means working an incomplete front post double crochet on the beginning chain and the first double crochet on the left. Yarn over again, draw the yarn through all loops at once. This is the FPDC 2 tog. Next, chain 4. From this FPDC 2 tog, repeat this pattern. Continue all the way to the last 4 chains. When completed, continue work a FPDC on this double crochet. Then, join with a slip stitch to the 3rd chain here. Round 4 is now completed. Continue with round 5. Chain 1 first. Slip stitch into the first chain space on the left. To bring the yarn roughly to the middle. Then, chain 3 to begin. Work 2 double crochets in the same space. Next, work 6 double crochets in each chain space. At the end, work 3 double crochets in the starting space. When done, join with a slip stitch. Round 5 is now complete. Continue with round 6. Chain 1 to begin. Then, work 1 back post single crochet on the starting chain. The method is the same as a single crochet, but the insertion point is different. The hook come out from the right side of the beginning chain and insert into the left side. Then crochet. This is the BPSC. Work 1 BPSC evenly on the next 2 double crochets. When done, on this FPDC2 tog, work 1 front post treble crochet, yarn over twice. Pick up this FPDC2 tog. Draw the yarn through. Yarn over one after another. Pull the yarn through the first 2 loops. Repeat 3 times. The FPTR is completed. For this round, work a BPSC on each set of 6 double crochets. After completing, work at FPTR on the FPDC2 tog. Following the chart, complete this round. Finally, join with a slip stitch into the beginning stitch. Round 6 is now completed. Continue with round 7. Chain 3 to begin. In the same position where you just joined, work 2 double crochets. After completing, chain 1. Then, on the front post treble crochet from previous round, work 1 front post half double crochet, 3 stitches large puff. This means inserting the hook as a front post stitch, working 3 incomplete half double crochets. Then yarn over, and pull the yarn through all the loops, except the last one. Yarn over again, draw the yarn through. This FPHDC3LP is now completed. Chain 1 again. Skip 3 stitches. On the 4th stitch, work 4 double crochets. Next, starting from this chain stitch, repeat this pattern. After completing the last chain stitch, work 1 double crochet into the first stitch. Then, slip stitch to connect. That completes round 7. Continue with round 8. Start as in round 4. Chain 8 in this round. Then, work 2 front post double crochets into the adjacent stitch on the left side. Then, work a FPDC2X tog. First, work an incomplete FPDC into the adjacent stitch on the left side. Then, work another identical incomplete FPDC on the first double crochet PF next set on the left side. Next, yarn over. Draw the yarn through the first 2 loops. Yarn over again. Draw through all loops at once. The FPDC2X tog is completed. Work 2 front post double crochets into the adjacent stitch on the left side. Chain 5. Next, starting from this FPDC, repeat this pattern. After completing this FPDC2X tog, work 1 FPDC on the beginning chain from the previous round. We can crochet behind this beginning chain. This means placing the beginning chain above. Finally, join with a slip stitch into the third chain. Round 8 is completed. Continue with round 9. First, slip stitch into the first chain space on the left. Chain 3. Then, work 7 double crochets into the saps. After that, work 1 front post double crochet, 4 stitches work together. This means working 1 incomplete FPDC on these 4 FPDCs. Skip the FPDC 2x tog in the middle. Follow the chart to complete this round. Round 9 is finished. Continue with round 10. First, slip stitch into the first double crochet on the left. Then secure the yarn. Pick up this double crochet in a back post double crochet manner. This double crochet adjacent to the beginning chain. Draw the yarn through. Chain 4. Next, on the next double crochet, work a back post double crochet. The method is same as double crochet, just insert from the back like this. Pick up this double crochet and crochet. This is a BPDC. Chain 1. Continue working a BPDC and 1 chain on each next 4 double crochets on the left side. After completing, leave the last double crochet unworked. On the FPDC 4 tog, work 1 front post half double crochet, 2 stitches large puff. The crocheting method is similar to round 7, but work 2 incomplete FPHDCs here. After completing, chain 1 more. For this round, next, work BPDCs on the middle. 6 stitches out of these 8, and work FPHDC2LP on the FPDC4 tog. Work 1 chain stitch in between each. After completing, continue following the chart to complete round 11. For this round, work single crochets in the corresponding chains. Work chains as bridges between the single crochets. The first 2 bridges are 4 chains. The rest are 5 chains. Continue to complete this round. After completing, don't cut the yarn. This concludes rounds 10 to 11. After completing the first 11 rounds, continue with row 12. We will consider the right side of the first 11 rounds as the right side of the entire fabric piece. This row is crocheted on the wrong side. Follow the direction of the arrow. Refer to the chart in a clockwise direction. Chain 3 to begin. Turn over. Work a single crochet in this chain space. Chain 5. Continue to work single crochets in the chain spaces from the previous round. Chain 5 as a bridge between each one. Continue all the way until 2 chain spaces left. After completing, continue with row 13. Work on the right side. Refer to the chart counterclockwise. Chain 3 to begin. Turn over. Work a single crochet in the first chain space. Chain 4. Work a single crochet in each next 2 chain spaces on the left. Chain 5. After completing, work 4 double crochets in the single crochet on the left. After completing, work a single crochet in each 3 chain spaces on the left, and work 5 chain stitches between each. Next, starting from these 4 double crochets, repeat this pattern all the way down to the last 4 double crochets. After completing, work a single crochet in each of the 3 chain spaces on the left. Chain 5 and then chain 4 between them. That concludes row 13. Continue with rows 14 and 15. I have already completed them. Row 14 is crocheted on the wrong side. In this row, work single crochets in the corresponding chain spaces, and also work single crochets in the corresponding double crochets. Except for the beginning chain, chain 5 between each single crochet. Once completed, row 15 has 3 chains at the beginning. The rest are all 6 chains. At the end, after completing the single crochet, work a double crochet in the single crochet here. Once completed, fasten off the yarn. The yarn tail at the starting and ending position. should be hidden along the texture of the fabric, in the wrong side. You can also hide the entire tail. This completes the first motif. Move on to the second motif. We call it motif 2. Here we need an incomplete motif. Begin with a double magic ring. The first 4 rounds are crocheted counterclockwise. The following rows are worked back and forth. The last row needs to connect with the first motif. Let me demonstrate the specific steps. The first round of the second motif is the same as the first one, so refer to the first motif. Begin with a double magic ring and finish the first round. I have already done. After completing it, continue with round 2. Secure the yarn. Pick up the beginning chain and pull the yarn through like this. Then, chain 5 directly. Next, pick up one strand of the second chain below, and make 2 double crochets. Then, work one fan group on the next double crochet. First, make one front post double treble crochet. Wrap the yarn 3 times. Pick up the double crochet in the way of front post stitch. Draw the yarn through. Yarn over and draw the yarn through the first 2 loops successively. Then pick up these 2 strands here in the middle. Crochet 2 more double crochets. If you can't find the exact spot, an approximate spot is fine. This fan group is completed. Next, repeat this process, working one such fan group on each remaining double crochet. Once done, join with a slip stitch. That completes round 2. Continue with round 3. Chain 3. Work a double crochet in the top of the beginning chain. This is equivalent to add 1 stitch. Next, on the left side, work double crochets correspondingly in the next 2 stitches. For the rest of this round, repeat working 2 double crochets into the first stitch of these 3. And 1 double crochet each in the remaining 2 stitches. Finish this round. Now I have completed round 3. Continue with round 4. Secure the yarn. Pick up the beginning chain like this. Draw the yarn through. Chain 3. Then, work a FPDC in each next 3 stitches on the left. Two chains. Work a FPDC in each next 4 stitches on the left. Next, starting from these 2 chains, repeat this pattern 8 more times. After completing 2 chains, on the next stitches, work successively 1 FPDC, 1 FPHDC, 4 FPSC, 1 FPHDC, and 1 FPDC. 2 chains. Join with a slip stitch. That completes round 4. Continue with row 5. This row is crocheted on the right side. First, secure the yarn. Draw the yarn through. Chain 2. Then work a FPDC on the left side. We will consider the crocheted part as a special FDPC2 tog. Then work a regular FDPC2 tog on the next 2 stitches on the left. Four chains. On the next 4 stitches on the left side, work 2 FDPC2 tog. Five chains. From these 2 FDPC2 tog. Repeat this pattern. Four chains in the end. After the last 2 FDPC2 tog. Stop here. Row 5 is done. Continue to row 6. This row is crocheted on the wrong side. Start with a special FDPC2 tog. Since it's on the wrong side, you need to crochet back post double crochets. Secure the yarn. First, draw the yarn through like this. Chain 2. Turn over. Work a BPDC on this FDPC2 tog, which means inserting the hook from the back and crocheting like this. When finished, 1 chain. Work a single crochet in the chain space. 4 chains. Work a BDPC2 tog. On these 2 FDPC2 tog from previous row. Refer to the pattern. Finish this row. Now I have completed row 6. Continue to row 7, chain 1 to begin, turn over. Work a single crochet in the chain space on the left side. Next, work a single crochet in each single crochet and 4 single crochets in the chain space. Continue all the way to the 5th large space from the end. When finished, end by working single crochets as usual. But we need to follow the chart and work the required stitches to connect the first motif at the corresponding position. You can see that this part needs to be connected to the first motif at 5 points. These dashed lines indicate where this motif will be connected to the second motif. Ignore them for now. Let me continue demonstrating. 1 single crochet in the single crochets on the left. 2 single crochets in the chain space. Then take out the first motif. With the right side facing up. Position it according to the chart. Making sure the gaps are on the same side. At the 4th chain space, insert the hook from the wrong side. Work 1 treble crochet. This connects 1 point. Then go back to the second motif. In the same chain space, make 2 single crochets. Make 1 single crochet in the next stitch. And 2 single crochets in the chain space. After completing, make 1 double crochet in the 3rd chain space here to join. Repeat this process. Continue crocheting and joining as you go. After the last single crochet, make 1 double crochet to join the first motif at the edge. Insert into this small saps to crochet. After completing, fasten off the yarn and weave in the ends. This completes the second motif. Move on to the third motif. We call this motif 3. This is an incomplete motif 3 here. Begin with a double magic ring and crochet in rounds. The final round needs to be joined with the previous 2 motifs. Let me demonstrate. The first 2 rounds of motif 3 are identical to the first 2 rounds of motif 1. Finish these 2 rounds first. After completing, I will explain the third row. First, work 1 special FPDC 3 LB. Chain 2 to begin. Then work 2 incomplete FPDCs on the beginning chain. Next, yarn over, draw through all loops at once. After completing, chain 3. Then work a FPDC 3 LB, which is the same as in the third round of motif 1. Continue following the chart until the last FPDC 3 LB. Now we've finished row 3. Continue with row 4. Start by using slip stitches and chain stitches to bring the yarn to starting position. First, at the edge of the last FPDC 3 LB, successively work 1 slip stitch, 1 chain, and 1 slip stitch. Chain 1 more, and slip stitch into the left stitch, 1 chain stitch. Slip stitch into the left stitch, 1 chain stitch, then successively work 1 slip stitch, 1 chain stitch, and 1 slip stitch on this side. When done, chain 1 to start single crochet. Refer to the chart. Start working single crochets in these chain spaces and stitches until you reach the point where you need to join. When done, take out the first 2 motifs. Find the third chain space from the joining point of motif 1. In this chain space, work 1 single crochet to connect. Note, the right side of these 2 motifs should be facing up. Insert the hook from the back. When done, follow the chart. Work single crochets in the corresponding position to connect the first motif. Now I have connected the first motif. Continue working single crochets until just before the next joining point. When done, find the second motif. The joining point here is in the adjacent single crochets. Work a double crochet to connect. Continue following the chart and complete this row. Note: the position of the joining point on the chart and the connecting stitch techniques can be adjusted based on the actual situation. The chart is for reference only. After completing the last connecting double crochet, return to the edge here. Make a slip stitch into the last stitch on the edge. Fasten off the yarn. This completes the third motif. Move on to the fourth motif. We refer to this as motif 4. This is also an incomplete motif. Begin with a double magic ring, crochet back and forth. The last row needs to connect with the third motif. Let me demonstrate. First, make a double magic ring. Then make 2 chains. Work 1 double crochet. We will consider the completed part as a special DC2 bobble. Next, chain 3. 1 DC2 bobble. This means working 2 incomplete double crochets first. Yarn over, then draw through all loops at once. Next, from these 3 chains, repeat this pattern 3 more times. When done, close the magic ring. We will consider the right side of the first row as the right side of the entire fabric piece. Row 1 is finished. Continue with row 2. First, work chain stitches and slip stitches to bring the yarn to the starting position here. When done, chain 2 to begin. Then, work a DC2 bobble in the chain space on the left side. Chain 2. In the same chain space, work a DC3 bobble. This means working 3 incomplete double crochets. Yarn over, draw the yarn through all loops at once. Continue working 2 DC3 bobble in each chain space on the left, and chain 2 between each. Now I have completed row 2. Continue with row 3. This row is crocheted on the wrong side. Chain 3 to begin. Turn over. Work 3 double crochets in the chain space on the left side. Chain 2. From this double crochet, repeat this pattern all the way to the last chain space with 3 double crochets. After completing, chain 1, work 1 double crochet in the edge stitch. That completes row 3. Continue with row 4, chain 3 to begin. Flip to the right side. Work 2 double crochets in the chain space on the left. Work 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches on the left side. Then work 1 TR2 tog. First, work 1 incomplete treble crochet in this stitch at the second row's edge. The TR2 tog in this row are all worked in the DC3 bobbles from row 2. Insert into this stitch. Then work 1 incomplete treble crochet in the next DC3 bobble on the left side. Yarn over, draw through all loops at once. The TR2 tog is complete. Go back to row 3. Work 1 double crochet in the adjacent stitch. And 2 double crochets in the chain space on the left side. Next, excluding the beginning chain and 2 double crochets. Repeat this pattern. I will demonstrate it again. First, work 1 double crochet in each of the first 2 stitches on the left side. Then, work 1 TR2 tog in the second and third DC3 bobble. In row 2, Next, work 1 double crochet in the adjacent stitch. And 2 double crochets in the chain space on the left. Continue following the chart to complete this row. Now I have completed row 4. Continue to crochet row 5. Start with 2 chains. Turn to the wrong side. Work 1 single crochet in the 3rd stitch. 6 chains. Next, work 1 single crochet every 5 stitches. That means single crochets are worked in the TR2 tog. Work 6 chains in between. Continue all the way to the last TR2 tog. After completing chain 5, on the turning chain, work 1 single crochet. Row 5 is completed. Continue to crochet row 6, chain 2 to begin. Turn to the right side. Work 4 double crochets in the chain space on the left. Then work a CH3 picket. This means work 3 chain stitches first. Then pick up the front loop and the left strand. And work a slip stitch. We will refer to this as a picket later. In the same chain space, work 3 more double crochets. Next, work 1 FPHDC on the TR2 tog from row 4. For the rest of this row, excluding the turning chain, repeat this pattern all the way to the 6th chain space. When completed, work 1 double crochet to connect with the corresponding stitch on the previous motif. Then work 1 FPHDC as usual. On the next chain space, work 4 double crochets first. Instead of the middle chain of the picket, work a slip stitch in the corresponding position on the previous motif. This completes the picket, and it connects at the point. Work 3 more double crochets. Continue by working a single crochet to connect in the corresponding position on the previous motif. Then work the last FPHDC. When completed, chain 1. Then make a slip stitch in the last chain space on the left. Chain 4 more. Then slip stitch in the last single crochet of the previous motif. Fasten off the yarn. That concludes the fourth motif. Next, the fifth motif is identical to the second one. The only difference is the points of connection and the stitch techniques. This involves picking up a few strands on the picket. Refer to the chart. Finish the fifth motif, and connect it to the fourth motif. When connecting motifs, the chart is only for reference. The specific joining points, and the joining stitches, can be adjusted as needed. Ensure it to be flat and neat. The sixth motif is a complete motif too. It is all worked in rounds, therefore, the post stitches in round 6 are worked as FPDC on the right side. The final round needs to be connected to the fourth and fifth motifs. This area is added later. You can ignore it for now. You can roughly place the connection point and pick up a few strands to work a treble crochet. Refer to the chart and complete the sixth motif. The seventh motif is a complete motif 4. First, start with a double magic ring. Work all the way to the last DC3 bobble in the second round. I have already completed it. At the beginning of the second round, work a slip stitch into the chain space on the left. Then continue working. After completing the last DC3 bobble, work 1/2 double crochet to join in the starting stitch. In the third round, work 3 double crochets in each chain space, and work 2 chains between each group. The fourth round has the same pattern as the second motif. The fifth round. are single crochets and chain stitches. At the end, after 3 chains, work 1 double crochet to join in the starting single crochet. The 6th round starts with 3 chains, then work 2 more double crochets on the double crochet. Then work the same stitch pattern as the second motif. Note: for the connection here, change the chain stitch in the picket to a single crochet to connect at the corresponding position on the previous motif. If the connection point is not a single crochet in the future, follow the chart and crochet the corresponding stitch. The 7th motif is completed. Next, the 8th is a complete motif too. The 9th and 10th motifs are both complete motif 4. Refer to the chart. Crochet and join as you go in the final round at the corresponding positions. That completes the first 10 motifs. Next, the 11th motif is a complete motif 3. I have already finished the first 2 rounds. Chain 3 to begin for round 3. Then work 1 FPDC 3 LB. We will consider this whole section as one special FPDC 3 LB. Follow the chart and finish the entire round. For the 4th round, you need to connect with the 1st and 10th motifs. Here, you will work slip stitches on the corresponding picots to join with. Finish this one. The 12th motif is a complete motif 2. The 13th is a completed motif 3. The 14th is identical to the first motif, which has these 3 chain spaces. Need to be connected with corresponding chain spaces of the first motif with slip stitches. The 15th motif is the same as the second, but here, in addition to connecting with the 14th motif, it also needs to connect with a few points on the second motif. The 16th and 17th motifs are both incomplete motif 3. Now I'll give a simple explanation of these 2 motifs. First, let's look at the 16th motif. The first round is crocheted normally. I have already finished it. At the beginning of the second row, secure the yarn. Then pick up the beginning chain. Draw the yarn through. Make 3 chains. This row is crocheted on the wrong side, so the FPDC symbols should be BPDC. Flip it to the wrong side. Crochet 1 BPDC on the left. Chain 1. Continue to alternate 1 BPDC and 1 chain stitch, all the way to the end of the 4th stitch. On the right of the turning chain, after completing it, crochet another BPDC. That completes row 2. Continue with row 3. Crochet on the right side. Chain 4 to begin. Flip it to the right side. Then crochet the corresponding stitches as usual. End by working 1 treble crochet into the turning chain. Before starting row 4, crochet some chain stitches and slip stitches to bring the yarn to the top of the 3rd row's turning chain. After completing it, chain 1 to begin. Then work single crochets and connect to the corresponding point on the 15th motif. After finishing, fasten off the yarn. The 16th motif is completed. The first 3 rows of the 17th motif are identical to the 16th. After finishing, fasten off the yarn. I have already crocheted it. Continue with row 4. First, join the yarn at the last single crochet of the previous motif. Chain 4. Then return to the 17th motif. Start from the turning chain. Crochet single crochets on the right side. And connect at the required positions. Finish this row and fasten off the yarn. The 17th motif is also completed. The 18th motif is motif 4. It is incomplete. The stitch techniques have changes. At the end of 3rd round, rows 4-6 are worked back and forth. Refer to the chart. Crochet and join as you go in the last row. The remaining motifs from 19 to 29 are all complete motifs. In some positions, you need to crochet TR2 tog for joining. That is, follow the dashed line and crochet in the corresponding position. Refer to the chart. Crochet all the larger motifs labeled with numbers. Next, we need to crochet motif 5 and motif 6 to fill the large blanks between the motifs. You can refer to the motif arrangement diagram or supplement based on the actual situation. The first 3 rounds of all motif 5 are the same here. The 4th round are chain stitches and slip stitches for connecting with the surrounding motifs. The number of chain stitches and the connection points are not fixed. Crochet based on the actual situation. Motif 6 is a smaller motif. The first 2 rounds are the same as the chart here. The third round also involves crocheting chain stitches and slip stitches for connecting with the surrounding motifs. The number of chain stitches and connection points are not fixed as well. Now, the tutorial of the motifs and connections is done. After all the motifs are crocheted, you need to crochet grid pattern on the right underarm. There are 4 sections. Start with the bottom section. First row. Crochet on the right side. Attach the yarn at this joining point. Crochet chain stitches and slip stitches. The slip stitches are crocheted in the corresponding position. Follow the dashed line. End with a double crochet. The second row is crocheted on the wrong side. Start with chain stitches and slip stitches. End with a DC2 tog. This means crocheting an incomplete double crochet in the corresponding position. Then yarn over, draw the yarn through all loops at once. The third row needs to be connected to the corresponding position of this motif. After crocheting, fasten off the yarn. Then crochet the section above. There are 5 rows. Join the yarn here. Crochet on the right side. Then work back and forth. Both sides are connected at the corresponding positions. Fasten off the yarn after completing the last row. After finishing here, crochet this section on the back body and this section on the front body. The first row of this section on the front body is crocheted on the right side. Join yarn at this single crochet, and by working a double crochet in the corresponding single crochet. The second row are chains only, and join with a slip stitch in this chain space, then fasten off the yarn. This section on the back body has only 1 row. It also starts by joining yarn on the right side. And by a slip stitch in this chain space, and fasten off the yarn. That completes the grid pattern crocheting. Next, you need to crochet the edging on the hem, the cuffs, and the neckline. Now, let me explain each part. First, let's learn how to crochet the hem edging. The hem edging consists of 2 rounds. Both rounds are crocheted on the right side. In the first round, you mainly work single crochets and chains. You can start attaching the yarn from any position. Each time you encounter a dent between 2 motifs, pick up a few strands roughly, and work 1 single crochet, 10 chains, and 1 single crochet. The number of chain stitches in other areas can be determined based on preference. 5 to 10 stitches will work. In the second round, you mainly crochet single crochets in the large spaces. Work a picket stitch on each single crochet, and connect them with chains. The number of chains can also be adjusted as needed. Ensure that the edge is roughly flat. In the dent, this 10-stitch chain space, the chain spaces on both sides, you can determine whether to crochet single crochets and picots based on the situation. If the chain spaces on both sides are larger, you can crochet them. If the chain spaces on both sides are smaller, you can skip them. The picket and the double crochets here are connected with one chain. When you crochet the double crochet here, twist these chains loop clockwise like this. Then crochet the double crochet and picket in the space. Here, I am working on a small sample, so the motifs here are not for reference. Next, follow this method to complete the edging on the hem. Next, we will crochet the edging on the cuffs, which also involves 2 rounds on the right side. For the first round, crochet single crochets and chains overall. At positions with noticeable dents, you can change the single crochet to another stitch. Ensure the edge to be roughly flat. The chain stitches are all 5. For the second round, crochet a single crochet in each chain space, and a picket in the single crochets. The number of chain stitches between them can be 3 to 5 depending on the situation. For the flatter sections of the front and back bodies, you can crochet 5. For the underarm section, crochet fewer stitches. 3 to 4 stitches should be enough. Specifically, adjust according to your preference. That concludes the cuff edging. Finally, let's learn the neckline edging. It's also 2 rounds worked on the right side. I'll demonstrate with this small sample. This is the back body. This is the front body. For the first round, you can join the yarn near this connection point. Chain 2 to begin. Then work 2 incomplete double crochets in the same position. Next, at this joining point on the front body, work 3 incomplete double crochets. Then yarn over, and draw through all loops at once. We can consider this as a special DC3 bobble cluster. Next, alternate working 5 chains and 1 slip stitch. The slip stitch is worked in the corresponding position. Work 5 times. Once completed, chain 5 more. Then work a DC3 bobble cluster. This means working 3 incomplete double crochets in the corresponding position of this motif. Another 3 incomplete double crochets at this corner of the motif. Then yarn over, and draw through all loops at once. This cluster is now completed. Next, follow the chart. the clusters or baubles on the chart can be changed according to preference. Just ensure the edge is roughly flat. End with a double crochet at the starting stitch. For round 2, work single crochets and picots with 5 chains. Complete round 2 as well. That concludes the neckline edging. Up to this point, we have finished the tutorial of this vest. If you have any questions during the process, don't hesitate to reach us via our customer service. Susan's family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.